Officers of Climate Change and Migrations join forces against climate change. Catholic Bishop Conference still upset over changes in Anthem. And PNG Boxers punch their way to victory. This is National EMTV News with Neville Choi. Thank you for joining me. We have just over one more day left for the 15th Pacific Games, but first, this is Thursday's news. The Papua New Guinea Office of Climate Change and Development will now work closely with the International Organization for Migration to address climate change issues in the country. This follows the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding today in Port Moresby.
The agreement signed was witnessed by French Ambassador to Papua New Guinea, Pascal Mobet, who described this as a concrete sign of cooperation. PNG Office of Climate Change and Development Director Varigini Badira said this cooperation will address important component of human dimension linked with climate change.
Kind of cooperation will, I hope, ensure that we tap into climate financing more rapidly for our people.
The International Organization for Migration say that PNG is a striking example of how climate change is affecting the people. With less attention or focus, this is a real threat to livelihood.
It's ultimately to help people survive, to live and to develop and to become a more prosperous society in the current global changes.
The cooperation is a new approach that challenges the state and stakeholders to properly address climate change issues in the country. Fabian Hakalitz, National EMTV News.
Fiji's new High Commissioner to PNG, Esala Teleni, says his immediate approach towards strengthening the diplomatic relationship between the two countries is to identify its weaknesses. The High Commissioner, who officially took office last month, said PNG and Fiji are two leading countries and should lead smaller countries in the Pacific. He said both countries have a long history and the Fijian government is focused on strengthening that relationship. Before talking about diplomatic relationships, he congratulated Fijian athletes who won medals in the Pacific Games and wished them a safe journey home.
I feel the game has really lifted the people and the population of Papua New Guinea. Visiting them to the game village, also trying to be present wherever they are participating. In terms of immediate achievement, I think it's identifying and working on our weaknesses in our weak areas that could be improved.
A major restructure is being planned within the Northern Provincial Administration following the appointment of new administrator Sem Vegogo. Northern Governor Gary Juffa made this announcement today after experiencing and observing the continuous breakdown of public service in the province. Mr. Juffa said the administration lacked a client service chapter and a code of conduct for employees, but he says all that is about to change.
Amongst the plans to improve the workflow in the Northern Provincial Administration, Governor Juffa is looking into eradicating the payroll fraud, which he says still exists.
5 public servants who are dead, but they're still being paid.
Juffa said the restructure will involve the creation of new positions within the administration, so the kind of work performed by the administration is the kind of service the northern people deserve. He said his people are willing to work, but the efforts made by the line agencies, particularly the government offices, are not reflective of how he wants the province to perform under his leadership.
We need to have in place a system that makes sure that public servants are in their districts, in their electorates, because a great number of public servants are operating from Poponeta town. They're not even in their districts, but they're collecting their pay.
The move to restructure the entire administration is purposely aimed at achieving transparency, responsible management of public funds, and to increase the standard of service delivery in Poponeta, including other district towns in Northern. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
The newly built multi-million Kina Kumul flyover in Port Moresby has seen its first car accident. A Toyota sedan traveling to Gordon's was hit by a speeding vehicle traveling in the lane next to it at around lunchtime today. Luckily, there were no reported casualties.
Just some minutes away after the incident, Pacific Game Security, including the police, defense and correctional service personnel, arrived to the aid of 4 people who had been traumatized by the impact. The vehicle was squashed, however, the passengers survived without sustaining any serious injuries. According to police traffic officer Samuel Noki, who is at the scene, the identity of the vehicle is unknown and police are still looking for this hit-and-run vehicle.
My fifth element come meet him now, and then I'm swinging all come back towards long cam direction. So, but one thing is all knocks him number plate block cars.
They said while having a significant event in the country, road users should be wary and drive responsibly to avoid road accidents.
Taking precaution, respecting road users too. Kind of no good accident come up, no good. You cause him liable or cause him damage, you go on Narbla line, you pay for it. Also, you must drive responsible, drive, obey more traffic rules, drive easy.
Eric Arupman, National EMTV News.
You're with National EMTV News. We have more debate on changes in the national anthem. That and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The Catholic Bishops' Conference of Papua New Guinea and Solomon Islands has added its voice to concerns raised on the alteration of words to the PNG national anthem during the Pacific Games opening ceremony. The alteration was described as a grave mistake against the National Identity Act of 1971. Eric Harupma files this report.
The alteration of Papua New Guinea national anthem has received many critiques. Now this week, Chief Secretary to Government, Manasupe Zurano, provided clarity the National Identity Act only recognizes only one national anthem. It's possible to change words, but the Act requires careful and informed debate. The National Executive Council can advise head of state to revise the words, but that would only be done after proper consultation. Also, a matter for the people to decide. The Catholic Bishop Conference strongly condemned the alteration, saying those words in the national anthem, which thank God for His goodness, are intentionally omitted, what they described as by ungodly forces.
And to omit God in the whole process of that. And we are saying that Papua New Guinea is a Christian nation. What does that mean?
PNG is a Christian country and few individuals have taken the liberty of denying this national identity. They say the Pacific Games Organizing Committee must ensure that the national anthem is sung in its original form in the closing ceremony. Eric Arupman, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Deputy Speaker of Parliament Anthony Agama has described Makoda Productions' explanations of alterations to the PNG national anthem as unacceptable. In an interview with MTV News Today, the Deputy Speaker says Makoda Productions should be held responsible for its actions. Mr. Yagama says any changes to the anthem will be through the floor of Parliament. The Deputy Speaker called on the Police Minister to move ahead with investigations into the matter and to uphold the country's sacred song and identity.
We could not go do that in any other country. Very disgusted that this was allowed to take place in an icon ceremony. This is very shallow and unrealistic excuse and has no meaning at all to all right-thinking Papua New Guineans.
We can't play around too much with our national anthem, whether we agree with the old text or the wordings or not. It's a national anthem that we have agreed to, and once we start playing around with it, then it loses its value. National anthem is part of our national identity, and but let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Yeah.
Earlier this morning, lay police forensic specialists confirmed that the decomposing corpse of an unidentified man found floating outside the Voca Point Wharf can now only be identified by the clothing and body jewelry. Investigators explained there are leads coming from the Milne Bay and Madang provinces where people are still missing at sea after their boats capsized. Bethany Harriman with more from Lay.
Lay police forensic specialists confirmed that identifying the body by face is next to impossible. When it was found on Monday morning, it had already started to decompose in the ocean, turning stark white. Now the investigator in charge, Detective Sergeant Max Makeso, says The only way to identify the body is a maroon t-shirt and a necklace. Now, the police have many leads. One of them comes from as far as the Milne Bay province and the Madang province. A dinghy capsized between Long Island and the coast of Madang town. The body of the man was found floating outside the Voko Point wharf and dragged into the old Lay Yacht Club jetty on Monday morning. Amid onlookers, the body was retrieved by the Morobe Provincial Disaster Office and the Lay Police, then taken to the Angau morgue where it remains. At this point, Lay Police are calling for any relatives missing a family member at sea to come forward and identify the maroon t-shirt and the necklace. The decomposing body of the man brings to attention the lack in state-of-the-art DNA testing laboratories needed by the police to carry out investigations into mysterious deaths. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lay.
A 7-day ultimatum has been given to Sports Minister Justin Tachenko to explain why a sporting facility at Konebada was not used for the Pacific Games. The Darahasi Land Group from Vabukori outside Port Moresby had allowed their land to be excavated free of charge to backfill the area in preparation for the Games. However, the cancellation of water sports initially allocated for that venue has angered village clan members.
A peaceful protest was held this morning at the Konebada Sports Complex. This area was a second alternative spot for hosting the codes of canoeing and sailing for the Pacific Games. However, the place was not commissioned to host the Games because of the incomplete infrastructure. Instead, the two events were staged at the Port Moresby Yacht Club. The Darahasi Land Group from Vabukori village had allowed part of the land to be dug up and filled the main arena. With no formal documentation signed, they gave their permission with verbal understanding that after the Pacific Games, this area would be given back to the community.
They are all frustrated, wanting to know anything will happen here for the Pacific Games.
They have now demanded an explanation from Sports Minister Justin Tachenko on the future of this facility and why the original events were transferred to the Yacht Club.
The sailing was going to be done here, and now the time is up. Almost all the sea sports are over.
They have given 7 days for the minister to respond. The group have asked banner contractors who were engaged in the building project to cease work this morning. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3615 US dollars in the interbank market. And at Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.354 US dollars, $0.4762 Australian dollars, $0.3191 euro, and 43.46 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and copper closed lower, while coffee and cocoa closed higher. Palm oil and crude oil closed lower, while copper closed the day higher. And finally on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed 3 points lower, the ASX closed at 59 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed the day at 57 points higher. And that's the news. We have Trukai Sports coming up next. We've got boxing, beach volleyball, and more action from the 15th South Pacific Games. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. PNG Boxers had a superb start in the ring today with a number of wins over their opponents. Philo MacGyver and Tom Boga punched their way to victory in their respective divisions.
It was a day of knockout punches for PNG Boxers today at the Caritas Gymnasium. Tom Boga took the ring in the 64 kg division against his opponent from the Federated States of Micronesia, Johnson Royce Rutt. Boga's speed and tenacity was evident at the get-go, leaving his opponent struggling to match up.
Here he goes on the attack, left and right, right, left again.
He delivered a right-hand punch which sent his opponent to the floor, but the Micronesian would not go down without a fight, delivering punches but not connecting. Boga found his rhythm to deliver a left-hand punch, stopping the clock at 1 minute 46 seconds to win the bout on knockout just in the first round.
Left and right, left again. He's got to go down. He's down.
Boga says he has prepared well for this fight and is looking forward to his other matches.
I was prepared for this by 5 months, 5 solid months, and I'm looking forward to get this.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV Sports.
A total of 7 Special Olympic athletes will attend the World Special Olympic Games representing PNG in the track and field events. The athletes will be accompanied by head coach Sophie Tuna to Los Angeles, California, where the Games will be staged. A total of 122 countries will take part in the Games, with up to 3,000 to 4,000 athletes competing in their respective sporting codes. This will be the first time for Papua New Guinea to take part in the World Special Olympic Games. After starting at a slow pace, the men's beach volleyball between Tahiti and PNG saw great techniques displayed. And after each set, PNG was able to gain momentum, making its way up the scoreboard while making good use of the ball. Although it was a tough match, the PNG side managed to prove Tahiti wrong, taking home as the winners of the match. Godwin Eki reports.
The men's beach volleyball saw Papua New Guinea take on Tahiti, with both countries equalizing the scoreboard. Both teams had strong defense on what sought to be a very competitive match, showing strong ball handling techniques. With scores rising for Tahiti, Papua New Guinea followed the tracks to equalize the points, making good use of the ball work, keeping it in the air most of the time. While both teams had their fair share of ball work, Papua New Guinea took strong defense to block all the ball coming from the Tahiti side with every strength they could.
So much pressure on. There's another big block. Oh, he's heating up. Heating up.
PNG took charge of the scoreboard, taking victory over Tahiti, winning the match 21 points to Tahiti 10.
That should be his nickname, Nightmare. He's just become a nightmare for Tahiti and Papua New Guinea.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
And in track and field, Sharon Quarola won her first gold medal in the women's 100-meter hurdles, while in the men's 110-meter hurdles, Wala Gime won gold, while Moen Boino took home silver.
In all sorts of trouble back there, the Tongans as well. But Gimme even knocked down that ninth barrier, but still managed to get through.
And that's it for True Kai Sports. Up next, we'll bring you all the weather details for tonight and tomorrow. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
We take a look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow around the country. In the southern region, Port Moresby, cloudy with a chance of light rain. Alatau, Daru and Kerema, cloudy with brief showers, and cloudy in Popondetta. In the Momase region, cloudy and a chance of showers in Lae, Wewak and Vanimo are fine, and mostly fine in Madang. In the New Guinea Islands, showers for Lorengau, Buka and Rabaul, cloudy in Kaveng, and brief showers in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, all centers cloudy and expecting brief showers. And that's the news, sports and weather this Thursday, 16th of July 2015. We'll continue with athletics at the BSP Stadium in our coverage of the 2015 Pacific Games. After the news, and a reminder, the women's and men's 400-meter final will be on in 45 minutes' time. From the news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.